So the next part of the tutorial is learning how to texture. And if we select all of our body parts right now, we can see that there's like a jumble of blue lines in this UV corner. And what these basically are, you know how an origami cube or a paper cutout cube has 6 individual sizes that you can draw on and then fold into each other. That is essentially what is happening here. So we'll just go ahead and select one, and you can see that there's 6 sides for you to draw on. And thankfully, according to Box UV before, when we were making our model, we selected Box UV. That just means that all 6 sides are connected to each other as a opposition to per face UV, where per face UV you select individual faces and bring them closer to one another, which we'll talk about in a sec. But right now we're going to organize our UV, because if we were to draw on it as is, you see that all of the textures are basically stacked onto each other. And I try to draw on one and give it a unique texture, and it's accidentally giving every one of them the exact same texture. And this is actually useful for stuff like drawing on the sides and creating like an arm. Like if you have a right arm and a left arm that are the exact same, why wouldn't you have them share the UVs? So that's less work for you. So UVs in a professional setting are a lot of work, because you have to organize them correctly so that it makes sense for texture designers. Usually in a pipeline there's different people modeling and texturing. So one person models, one person textures, but the person modeling usually makes the UV, and then that is makes it very intuitive for the person texturing in order to do so. So UVing is a process that can take a while, especially depending on how complicated your model is. For this tutorial, I already tried it when I was making like a dinosaur character, and it definitely took like more than 30 minutes. So now I only have 4 cubes, and we're going to draw on them. There's always like the magic of being able to draw right on the thing. Of course, if you have a pen and tablet, you can just use your pen and draw right on it. There you go. You can see I'm drawing on all the objects here. And there is transparency. There's an eraser tool, and now if we use the eraser tool, we can erase right through the object. There's a paint bucket tool, and if you come over here, you can either paint on the face, which is just like this, or you can hit the element and it'll paint the entire cube. Connected colors, which paints the connected colors, or you can do colors, which will grab all of the exact same color on that face. And if you come into this section, you can hit 1 and it'll draw on more than one color. Where's our light blue here? Okay, there's our light blue. If we were to use a paint bucket tool and select colors onto the model, it'll only do it for that face. But if we were to do it in the paint section, you see that it gets all the faces. Copy brush and gradient tool, which I have to assume are explanatory. I have not really worked with them. Yeah, okay. So it looks like it's going from the color you have selected to transparent. Interesting. There's mirror painting, which I've never used before. I like to just I would do like a per face UV thing. Once you have everything set up, then I would do per face UV. And if I wanted to make two sides similar to each other, I would select this side and bring it over here. So now you see that both sides are being drawn on the same way. It's definitely a mess of colors right now. And you can actually see that the sides are swapped. So if we just go ahead and select this one again, there are options down here at the bottom. And we're going to select one of the mirror options, and it looks like we hit the right one. Yep, so now both sides are the exact same. And we can use our eraser and to erase the top, just to see what it's like from both sides. It's definitely a mess of colors right now, but I'm just trying to show you how the paint tools work. So now you can see that we have been coloring both sides. And even though that this face is invisible right now, you are it's still there and you can still draw on it. Now, if you can imagine, so what we just did translates to flat planes as well, but they can be a little bit tricky. So here we can resize all the way down to something flat, and we'll go ahead and make it 8 by 8. So now that we have it on per face UV, if you were working in box UV before when you made this object, so now that we're in box face UV, there's two different sides. So over here, there's box UV and per face UV. This changes it for the entire model, but if we come to the top here and select UV mode, you can select only per face UV for this one cube. So on a flat plane like this, you would want to select per face UV so that you could bring this face and put it on there so that they match. Right now, you'll notice that the flat plane, actually we need to attribute it to the texture. So if you add any objects after you've already made the texture, you can select this object or just select all of them. But you'll select this object, come over here to the texture tab and click apply to elements. So now this element has the texture. We'll just move our UVs over here. And if you had more textures, you could apply them as well. So we'll just make another texture and we'll draw on it just like that. So now we have two textures in this program. To be efficient, you should only have one texture. That is a major disclaimer. Make sure that you only have one PNG. There's not many times when you should have more than one texture, other than if you were making an alpha map, if your textures were glowing. Or in terms of Cobblemon, we have the regular Pokemon texture, and then we have the shiny Pokemon texture, and that's when you could apply to the elements. But while we're here, we'll just go ahead and apply this texture back to this one. And we'll just apply all the elements. Okay, great. And then we'll just get rid of this for right now. So anyways, you will notice that both sides of this plane are different, and that's a little bit annoying when we're trying to erase specifically and we're like, what the heck is going on? I thought I erased all the faces. So what we're going to want to do is select our UV and bring one side, UV mode, per face UV, and bring one side and put it on the other. And so now when we draw, There you go. It's showing on both sides because both sides are mirrored. And now you'll see that I just drew 1 pixel just to test. So all we have to do is just flip one side, and now they're both mirrored, and they're both the exact same.